Hallo, agus fáilte go trí seascait an program ag BBC Alba a bhés a taispeach na boranich ingantach agus is scéalach an cuachtach an spórs na Alba. Is Iona Ballantyne agus a mí toilite rag bhil stiùiriche an SWPL Fiona Nic ar eascáil rooms in studio. Program na héichen och, Bhríonn sin Fiona hoiseach deireadh season ingantach an sin SWPL an deireadh theachcain. Cluinnidh sin Mhairi Lake a bhuaigh coach na bliana son an opair h-oifigear skip a Ball-Lìn Clydeside, agus a sin na brúnaí ofachair leasachaidh na camanachd Alaina NicIllinein a géisiúin mudríoch a common camanachd. Fiona, welcome back to 360.
Thanks for having me.
I cannot believe how we've planned to have you on this week. It's almost like it's perfect because we are here, one game left of the season. It could go any way. How are you feeling at the moment?
Yes, I think we've planned it well. Just really excited. I think like everyone looking ahead to the weekend, there's so much to play for at both ends of the table and in SWPL too. I know everyone's concentrating on the top of the SWPL. That's where a lot of attention's going, but across the leagues there's so much to play for and we couldn't have written the script better, I think, this season.
It has been amazing. You must be so delighted actually with how it's panned out and the drama and the excitement that the league has brought to so many people.
I know, and at different points in the season there's been different clubs that have been favourites to win the league, different clubs that have been in the playoff spots. So I think to get to the last day and we've still got 3 teams potentially that can win the title just shows how competitive it's been, and the twists and the turns along the way have added to the drama and excitement for everyone.
It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to ask you to do the honours of explaining what can actually happen on Sunday. We've got Glasgow City, Rangers and Celtic all in contention for that league title spot. How will it go? How can it go? What are the potential outcomes?
Well, you're right, we've got 3 clubs that can potentially win it. We have been double checking the rules this week, as you can imagine, because it is so tight. At the moment, Glasgow City are 2 points ahead of both Rangers and Celtic. So it's in their hands entirely. If they win, then they will be champions, and they know that. Rangers and Celtic in a slightly different position. Both of them need to win, and if they both win, then it potentially comes to goal difference between Rangers and Celtic, which is really tight. And if one of them wins and the other one doesn't win, then they'll potentially win the league, depending as long as Glasgow City don't win. So it's complicated. It could come to goal difference. There's 3 teams that could win it. It could come down to a head-to-head if goal difference is the same. That's the sort of next metric once we've checked goal difference. Whoever scored the most goals would win the league, and then it comes to the sort of head-to-head assessment between the clubs that are on the same point. So complicated, but like everyone, we're just really excited and delighted we've got this number of teams still competing.
When we talk about goal difference between Rangers and Celtic, we are literally talking about 1 goal, aren't we, at the moment? Yep. I mean, obviously they could score, they might not even win on Sunday, it could go anyway, we have to say that, but at the moment the margins are so fine. Could you ever have predicted this is how this season would have been?
No, and I think it's pretty unprecedented, certainly in my lifetime in women's football, and maybe even since the last 20-30 years in men's football in Scotland. We've had helicopter Sundays, Super Sundays, a final day of the season where there's multiple teams that can win it, but I can't recall a time we've had 3 teams that can win it, and the margin's been so fine, and 2 of them playing against each other. And I guess that, coupled with the games being in the major stadiums, just makes it an incredible weekend for everyone to look forward to.
It is incredible. We've joked on this programme before about Helicopter Sunday. It is happening on a Sunday. Unfortunately, there is no helicopter, but you will be in the middle of both stadiums. Can you tell us about how your day is actually going to look and how you'll be with the trophy?
Yeah, a big part of this week for the SWPL team has been about planning the logistics and all the different possibilities, as we've just spoken about. So we'll have a team at Ibrox who are ready to present a trophy to either Glasgow City or Rangers. The usual staging and branding you would expect. We'll have a team at Celtic Park that will do the same. I'll be positioned at Hampden with Molly Hyde, who's our company secretary. We'll have the trophy and we'll have the medals. We'll watch both games on big screens within Hampden. Once it's clear, and it may not be till very late on, who is likely to win the title, we'll start heading to that venue. As you've alluded to, it's really tight. So it may be that we start to head in one direction and then there's a goal that changes that and then we have to turn around. Thankfully, the venues aren't too far apart, so we are hopeful we will not hit any Glasgow traffic and we will make it to the stadium with the trophies and medals with the eventual winners. So there could be a few 3-point turns on the M8 on Sunday.
There could be, because we've had so many last minute winners this season. I'm actually picturing a police escort. I feel like that's maybe what you need.
Well, we are actually planning that as well, so that's something that we're looking at to try and help us navigate through Glasgow as quickly as we can. Also just adds a little bit of prestige to the day, because we've come this far in the season and the clubs in the league really deserve that recognition, so the more we can do to create an occasion for everyone, then that's certainly something that we're looking at the moment.
It's absolutely brilliant. It's so exciting to hear. It's going to be so exciting on Sunday. And the other thing you mentioned, played at the two stadiums, Celtic Park and Ibrox, which is incredible. We already had Celtic smash the record attendance just last weekend, almost 10,000, 9,500 in attendance there. I'm sure both teams will be looking to knock that out the park again.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it? If you look at this weekend, we have Ibrox and Celtic Park been used for the biggest games of the SWPL season. Both will be looking to drive huge audiences there. And then the following weekend, we've got a cup final at Hampden. Again, if maybe 12 to 18 months ago we'd sat and spoken about this as a possibility, it would probably have been viewed as slightly unrealistic. So just delighted that the players get that opportunity to play on the big stage, but also it really encourages fans to come along, and we know that having followed the games that are in major stadiums, it tends to really increase the crowds that attend. So delighted for everyone involved that the clubs have been able to arrange that.
It's brilliant that it's going down to the last day. It's so exciting, but I know you were actually prepared last weekend too, in case the title had gone to Glasgow City.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, the inner workings of a league, that people don't see these things. So there was a possibility last weekend that Glasgow City could have won the league. Had Celtic and Rangers dropped points, then we would have been prepared to present the trophy to Glasgow City, as it was their last home game of the season at Petershill. When Celtic were 2-0 up, it felt like it was probably not going to happen, but obviously there was a late goal by Hibs, and there was 2 or 3 minutes where we thought it is a possibility. But Rangers and Celtic obviously both won their games. But yeah, these are the things that we need to plan for, I guess. But that's all part of the fun and excitement of being involved in the sort of inner workings of a league.
And you were watching all of that, or hearing how all of that was unfolding, whilst you were in Montrose presenting them with the trophy too.
So yeah, it was a great trip up to Montrose on Sunday. So the whole SWPL team made our way up to Montrose. We had a great day, really welcoming people up there, and clubs had a fantastic season. So yes, we presented the trophy there. On the drive back down, we all had the games on in the background to understand what was happening. So there was a 3-minute period from Hibs scoring 1 goal, and I think a very late opportunity as well, where we thought we might need to deviate and start heading to Petershill Park, but that wasn't to be. But yeah, these are the sort of things that people don't see, I guess.
Oh, Fiona, this is just brilliant. It's so great actually hearing how it all happens behind the scenes, and actually what's involved in all of this. We'll hear much more shortly. Wel fa Mhairi Lake mae'r ffair yn y fwyn y chwtsi skip y Ball-Lìn bigger gys thuilleadh chluinnidh a haringchún yn spores. Van uur sin ha Mhairi ha coach cwtioch yn club a horscher erst van Adam uur Ball-Lìn Clydeside. Vroon sin ri Mhairi mu drych coachi agus de planigin a heke club sy'n amri tiach.
Janning grooi galpaarst aan een immig spoors, she Ball-Lìn a glach ar a Mhairi Lake. Ayes for an duki hier came guvina coach.
I was quite late at starting at netball, like I said, so halfway through high school really was kind of introduction to netball. We didn't have a netball club in the area at the time, nor did I know anything about the district pathway, so I was tied up with other hobbies. And then I joined the Young Farmers organisation, and they play different sports throughout the year, and netball was one of them. Loved taking part and found that I was quite good at netball, probably taking those transferable skills from other sports across. And then going from there, I ended up getting a coaching role, volunteer role with South Lanarkshire Leisure and Culture, and I was leading on netball festivals for primary schools, got my level 1 coaching badge, and that was probably back in 2011 11 and I've been coaching netball ever since.
Bha bhari na príomh bhall sa bhuiine na chrúí scipa Ball-Lìn bigger. Bó chain cruachú chan scipa fás ag ire íontach, agus iad afrántal go Ball-Lìn Clydeside.
Yes, so starting as bigger netball club back in 2018, it was formed from a small group of people who were really enjoying netball at a social level, playing in a bounce back to netball group at the local leisure centres. And I was a qualified coach at that point, so it was kind of formed around my availability to coach. And we only started with 3 of us coaching and a junior age group. From there, it grew to having our seniors and then our minis, which is P4 to P7. And more recently, we've added our social and walking groups as part of that as well. We have been growing our coaching team since then, so a little bit of a shuffle round in our committee and then recruiting more coaches, training them up. That's a big part of my role as head coach, is mentoring new coaches who go on their level 1, level 2, hopefully one day, and also recruiting umpires because we can't go to our events and our tournaments without umpires too. It's been a lot of hard work getting to this stage where we are now. We've got a fantastic committee and a fantastic coaching team who've really helped. It's been things down to ordering new kit for the club, changing our logo, making sure that we've got the right people on the committee that are going to be here for the next few years, making sure that the club goes from strength to strength. And also we've got to the stage now where we're actually holding trials because our age groups are growing so rapidly that we've now got 2 under-15s, 2 seniors for example.
Ha bhari oper cruig na badjan coachige. Ayes get the vai animach na behe go Ball-Lìn. Ha móthach an urdas eich hains and riach.
I did not know that I was always going to be a netball coach, but I knew I was always going to be a coach of some sort or a teacher. I have always been interested from growing up. It was just always what I was passionate about, loved PE, and then managed to get loads of different coaching badges. So volleyball, badminton, football, tennis, everything but netball really. I was also a fitness instructor and yoga teacher. Netball came slightly later. And it fell into place that was something that I felt really confident doing. I absolutely loved it. It was fun. I could really relate with the children and the adults that I was getting to coach every week. It was a chance to do something that I could also progress in and not feel like I was stuck in a rut or going through the motions. I really felt like I had a pathway to follow as well, which Netball Scotland have been great with. Got my level 2. Again, like I said, I'm now going on to do my level B umpiring, and it's all sort of fitting into one. And it's been great to go from somebody who came quite late to netball to now feeling like I'm quite high up on what I'm doing at club level, district level, and I'm able to feed that back to kids that are maybe in my position where they've not started until they're halfway through high school, but they can still be shooting straight onto that netball pathway.
Bhuanig bhari coaching na buana ag dúis sports na ban Alba. Ayes, hai mochel as a thuilleadh a Hainis Clydeside or coimhead.
Yeah, I'm really proud to be named Coach of the Year at the Scottish Women in Sports Awards. It was totally unexpected. I was delighted to be nominated, but being in that room that evening when there was so much talent in my own category, but also so much talent in the room, it was just really amazing. So proud, and the whole club was really nice to see them get behind me as well. I've definitely grown as a coach as the club's developed, and I think you have to, given that we've got so many talented young people that are wanting to progress. They are shown that they are so talented already and they're relatively new to the sport. So me as a coach, I am wanting to push myself to be better so that I can be better for them. We've got players representing district at under 15s, under 17s and under 19s, and then going on to represent at national as well. I've been really fortunate to have doors opened where I've been able to coach at district and now coaching at the Super Cup development squads for Netball Scotland as well, which is really exciting. I'm so proud to be a coach at Clydesdale Netball Club, so proud to be part of it. It's been amazing to see it develop over the last few years, and it's such a nice feeling within the club, such a nice atmosphere. Really, we do call it a netball family, and it's something for everybody. And we know that we've got people that have got our backs. So I eventually want to get the club to a stage where it's going to continue going from strength to strength. Even if I have to take a step back, or somebody else in the committee or coaching team has to take a step back, we're all going to be there and we're all loyal to our club.
Se club a amasach a Clydeside, agus a planigin mit an áitir an tamri teach. Le Mhairi cúide chus an lentin orra leis an airtas ag go héin mar coache.
So our club plans to keep growing in size, so boosting our membership, keeping to recruit from the high schools and also just the local community. And we've got our Health and Wellbeing Festival to look forward to in June. That's going to be really nice. It's going to bring all of our club together. It's going to be a chance to see everyone in their new kit for the first time. And we've got school festivals to look forward to as well. So all of this is going to help with boosting our club membership, our profile within the community, and we'd like to enter a few more competitions, maybe even into the Scottish Cup next year. Personal ambitions, I think I'll remain at Clydesdale Netball Club. It's my bread and butter. It's going to be my home of netball forever now. But I'd like to progress on my own coaching pathway, so continue coaching at district. And I'm looking forward to being part of the coaching team for the Netball Scotland's Super Cup development squads, and that's really going to see me progress even further as a coach, and then I can bring that back to club as well. So I'm always improving myself, but also having that opportunity to help other coaches and obviously my players that I'm coaching.
Mhairi is spinning a lot of plates, but how amazing, how good is it to see what she is doing to ensure that netball is available for everyone?
It's brilliant. She's spinning more than a few plates. I think she spoke about umpiring, coaching, bringing through young players, her own coaching pathway. You can tell she's got a real connection to the club that she's at and a passion for netball. It's interesting that she's come to it a little bit later as well, having played a number of different sports. But yeah, very impressive. I don't know how she manages her time, but she's doing something impressive, that's for sure.
I was going to say, you probably understand, well, not probably, you understand what it takes behind the scenes to ensure that things like that are running smoothly and growing. What does go on behind the scenes for you? How do you get that growth? It's been amazing to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of support behind the scenes that probably you don't see, and a lot of that will be volunteer-led, so I'm sure she'll be leaning on the volunteers and the local community to really help amplify the message and the work that she's doing. But that's not to downplay her role in it. She's clearly got a real leadership role within that club and has done incredible things just to grow it across the board.
And what she's doing is clearly working, also winning Coach of the Year, which is brilliant. I know she was very humble and very surprised at that, but getting that recognition, it must give you such a boost to kind of go on and do even more.
For sure, that will grow her confidence as a coach. She spoke about doing lots of coaching badges across different sports, but it seems like she's found her niche and her preferred sport now, and just wish her well with her coaching journey.
Absolutely, that was great to see Mhairi in action there. If we just turn back to the SWPL and the madness that is continuing to go on this weekend, if we just even look back at the season, what have you learnt from this season? What have you learnt about the split? What will you change going into next season now?
I think in general the competition format's been good. There will always be different opinions on a split, the number of teams in the league. But the takeaway I have is that the competition format and structure works for us. What we will look to change potentially is a little bit, the format will remain the same, but in terms of the season structure, we'll perhaps look at trying to have a few less midweeks back to back towards the end of the season. We see some clubs beginning to tire and struggle a bit more than we would like with injuries, so we take on board that feedback from the clubs. Next season we've also got the World Cup this summer, so that dictates our start date. The FIFA windows move a little bit in terms of international, so there's a lot of moving parts that we work around that are fixed, like FIFA windows and Champions League, and then there's the bits where we can tinker around the edges. But in general the split has worked. We've got such a competitive league at both ends of the table, so I think that illustrates that part of the competition format has been a success.
It has. There's so much excitement at the top and the bottom, and even for teams kind of in the middle. I mean, Spartans there in the lower half of the split, but a team that have been on a winning streak, they're scoring so many goals, they're playing much more freely. Do you see that even for them as just being able to settle a bit? They don't have the pressure of playing those top three teams and can try out new things and push it for next season.
Yeah, and I think all teams will say they want to be in the top half of the table. That will be their ambition when they enter into the season. But I think when you end up in that bottom half, first of all, you want to avoid relegation, so there's real competition to ensure that you don't get into those two bottom relegation spots. But once you've secured that, you're right, it provides an opportunity for the club to build a bit of momentum, perhaps start to look ahead to the next season and how you build and grow and try and improve and get to that top 6 finish. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what some of the clubs do next year in terms of their ambition and where we end up.
We briefly mentioned it at the top and even just the teams at the bottom there. There's still a lot of drama at the bottom of the table between Dundee United and Hamilton, who are battling to stay up. Again, with them, there's only 2 points for Sunday's game between them.
I know when we spoke about this off air, I think rightly, and I understand all the attention is on the top half of the table, but in its own right on Sunday, that match to avoid the 11th place or the playoff spot is huge for both of those clubs. They'll both be desperate to stay in the top league, but it's another one that's really hard to call. It's so tight that I certainly wouldn't like to guess who's going to come out on top, but another fantastic game. We'll have photographers and things up there as well to try and capture that moment for the clubs and make sure that we promote that side of it as well, because we understand there'll be a lot of eyes on the top half of the table, but a lot of people interested in what's going on in the bottom half too.
Well, that's the thing, there's drama in SWPL too, also for the playoff spot there.
Yes, so we mentioned earlier that Montrose obviously won the league and we were up there on Sunday presenting the trophy, but incredibly we've actually got 4 teams, so half of that league that can technically still reach that second place and get that playoff spot. So a lot of drama to come on Sunday, not just in SWPL, but in SWPL too as well.
Oh, that is amazing, Fiona, honestly. What a great job you have done. It's brilliant to hear. Well, apar gyfel y hopper colri comanachd camanachd y cort agri Alaina NicIllinnein sy torst imen gydyn ocha fiach na dúcha na dríach mar offacar leasachaidh. Huair sin facil cluinnidh ar scipa cheann loch séile gus thuilleadh ein amach min opar h-oifigear.
Thóg Alaina NicIllinnein man cuairtear camanachd, mar sin can Iona bhain gon de h-oifigear sport a cluinnidh by og.
Yeah, my cousins, they all played for Sky, my older cousins, so they all played for Sky growing up. So it was just part of the community and playing it in the family. So I started when I was in primary school, playing with South Sky, and then when I went into high school, started playing with Popton High School, the girls team, and then I properly started playing like competitive club shinty with Kinlochshiel when they formed in 2018. I think it being part of the community, and it's like the main sport growing up, like everyone played shinty, and it's really grown for the women's. So I think it being the main thing, like there wasn't football, there was football for guys, but no football for the women's. So being in high school and then there being shinty available, it definitely made it like the main thing to take part in.
Nuair a h-oifigear Alaina agus a carrigan a cluiche le cumann camanachd cheann loch séile, who go úne setla go isteach.
Definitely in the first year, like we all played, because it was a new club, and most of us played in high school together, so we all knew each other, so that was quite good. But going into actual competitive and club shinty and it being in the leagues, like at the start we were losing, but it was good experience. And then the following year, we really like built on our skills and built on our ability, and we knew what the game was about then, because we were playing against people that had been playing it for years and competing in it for years.
Díreach nuair a cúis na céad na sead, bhrí sin coronavirus agus chud a stat their camanachd.
Yeah, well, we were definitely, come 2019, we were like 2 years into it, but we were definitely at that point looking for the next year following. We really thought we needed to bring in like new young people, because we had the people that had started, but then we didn't have much development coming in. And then COVID happened, which made it all stop. But then when COVID stopped and we could actually get back to playing shinty, for Kinlochshiel ladies, we actually got such a growth in numbers, like a lot of girls wanted to start taking part in shinty, so that was really good for us. So it was a good development for the club and the ladies team, because we had lots of young people wanting to take part in a new sport, so that was really good.
Och hiún becin bhlianachin, Chur Alaina roichbe is sport agus a chud dúnsaí a chud cála, mar sin chuir focus ar coaching imain.
So I studied in university doing sports coaching and development, and that was down in Glasgow. So when I left home and went down to Glasgow, I noticed that shinty wasn't much of a thing down in Glasgow. So when I was in uni, I really took that opportunity to do shinty as my sport. So then my college classmates and then my uni classmates, they were getting to take part in shinty. So it was something totally new. So I really noticed like the need for shinty in a new area, and it's really started to grow in the Central Belt, which is brilliant. And then through doing it throughout uni, and then I was helping in a high school down in Glasgow, I don't know, I found a love for just coaching it and being part of shinty.
Bhfuil Jackie nóchaí, ha Alaina Joe open a h-oifigear le cumann camanachd.
Yeah, so I literally finished uni like 2 weeks ago, and I started this job with the camanachd. So I'm the new regional development officer for the East region, and the welfare officer for nationally. So the East includes the clubs from like Aberdeen, and then Canusie, Newtonmore, Badenoch Ladies, Strathspey, and then it also includes Lochaber and Fort William, Kilmally and Glengarry. So it's a really big area. So it's working with them clubs and developing shinty for everyone, really, all ages. I always wanted to do something in shinty, whether that was just coaching a team or like helping refereeing or just getting people involved in shinty. But I didn't expect to be finished uni and to be with the Camanachd Association. Like that was something I never even thought would have been possible, to be honest. Like I didn't know what route I was going to go down. I know I wanted to do sports, but I didn't know what specific sport, and I didn't think I would get into shinty specifically. I thought I'd have to go a different field to then maybe come back to shinty.
In nisise clachach na cheolalas in aiche, fuairtí Alaina focus a chur príomh targad na choinnidh an cumann camanachd.
Yeah, so I think getting people involved from grassroots, and then getting the schools involved. Like a lot of schools are bringing it into the curriculum, which is really good. And then getting like clubs being able to sustain shinty. So that's like getting coaches in, so that there's people there when we're not there to run the clubs and coach, and take it for competitions and leagues and all that. And then getting people obviously to referee the games, because they wouldn't run without the referees. So that's in the men's and the women's game. Like overall, just getting officials for the game.
Alaina son sports a thuisce duine eile fiach na dúcha. Agus ha je náchas sinna cheanú san 3 uaiche.
I think like it's a new sport to a lot of people. Even if it's in their community and they've never done it, like most people always enjoy it when they actually get started. Like the hardest part is just starting it. So it's starting it and picking up the stick. And there's so much enjoyment in it. Like I've made so many friends when I was growing up just playing shinty. So it's such a social aspect and it really brings the community together. So I think the social aspect is definitely a main benefit of doing it.
Rút na chaile chaáil Alaina, sin urid a thug imain dhí. Rút a bhfuil fata an comain.
Oh, like loads of opportunities, like endless opportunities, to be honest. Like just from playing it firstly, and like playing it in primary school and then going on and playing competitively with the club and Kinloch Ladies, but then also going on to like coaching and doing my refereeing, and then the different programs that the Camanachd Association run. Like when I was in high school, I was part of the Shinty Ambassador program, and then when I was at university, I got the opportunity to mentor the Shinty Ambassadors with Camanachd, and then now I've got a career, so a job with the Camanachd, so lots of progression and opportunities.
Fiona, what another brilliant young woman making such a huge difference to her sport.
I know, she's a fantastic ambassador for her sport. Again, you can just sense the passion that she has for her sport and wanting to encourage other people to take part that have never participated before. So yeah, just a brilliant ambassador for Shinty.
And so many similarities between Alaina and Mhairi, who are on completely different sports, completely different paths, but actually what they want to do, their goal and their dream is so similar.
I know, two different sports, but very similar stories, two people that love their sport. I got a sense that they both really appreciate the difference it makes in the community, the friendships, the other things aside from the sport and health benefits of being part of a club, and they really want to share that with the wider community, and they're both doing fantastic things.
And the passion, it's just so clear to see. I mean, how important are people like Alaina and Mhairi in their organisation and what they do for the sport too.
You can't underestimate the importance. Sport wouldn't run in Scotland without these passionate volunteers across nearly every sport in the country. If you look at grassroots, football is obviously an example that I'm close to. The volunteers are what keep it running, and it's the passion that encourages them to participate. So without doubt, the both of them are doing incredibly well for their sport.
They totally are, and even brilliant to see Alaina taking it to uni. Like we were chatting about how maybe that's a period in people's lives where they would be off doing other things, but actually getting that sport into uni and getting people involved in the team, it's so good to see.
I know, and she's obviously been successful. You see from the pictures there, she's roped more than a few people in and they seem to be enjoying it as well. And she makes a good point about once people try sport for the first time, it's sometimes just that encouragement to get people to go and give it a go. And when they've done that, clearly they've enjoyed it and continue to participate. Which
we can clearly see, honestly. It was brilliant to see a huge well done to Alaina and everything that she's achieved and everything that she will in her career. But if we just move back to SWPL as we come to the end of the programme, sadly, what are your thoughts now going ahead? There's still quite a big gap between the top three and the bottom teams. How do we bridge that gap over the coming seasons and get more teams putting more money in, because we can see what that cash injection can do?
Yeah, part of it's down to club investment and club ambition, but I do think the league has a central role to play as well. We do what we can to try and create a level playing field. The split was part of that, to try and make sure towards the end of the season clubs were playing in a competitive environment against teams of a similar ability, and I think looking at the results post-split, that's been vindicated. We also commercially, when we distribute money at the end of the season, the gap in terms of what the first team gets and team 20 gets is pretty small in relative terms compared to other sports and even men's football. So we try and share the resource as best we can, and then centrally we try and arrange partnerships that are beneficial to everyone. So whether that be the match ball partner or making sure all of our clubs have access to things like analysis software. So we do what we can centrally to try and bridge that gap, but there is an element of also encouraging the clubs to invest to make sure that that gap doesn't grow.
Is there a target of when you want to see a fully professional? It was quite a long way away, but is there a target of when you want to see that, or more teams turning professional and giving the players a chance when they're working full-time or studying full-time, or they've got so much other things going on and they're playing against these professional players?
Yeah, it's incremental progress. I think this year, at last count, we had over 100 professional players. They're not all full-time, but a large number of them now are. If you track that back over the last few years, that has moved very, very quickly. So we're going on the right path. Every club has its own model, every club has its own challenges. So what Aberdeen put in place may not be the same as a Spartans or the same as a Glasgow City. So it's really important that we recognise that there isn't a one-size-fits-all, and we're not going to clubs and dictating what they do. They need to build something that works for them, and I think we're on the right path in the right direction. Aberdeen this week promoting for their full-time head coach for the first time, which is brilliant. You know, just looking at the number of professional players now at Hearts and at Spartans, so we're on the right track and we'll continue to do what we can to support the clubs.
We would need a whole other programme to talk about just how far everything has come, even since the first time we had you on here. It's been incredible to see the growth, but tell me, how excited are you for Sunday?
Oh, beyond excited. I think I mentioned to you earlier that there's so much excitement in the office this week. Everyone is just building towards this day. We want it to be a showcase for women's football. We want the clubs to feel like it's a special occasion. We hope that fans will turn out in their numbers and come along and support the clubs. So yeah, just hugely excited.
Well, Fiona, what a week to have you on. What a hugely exciting end to the season. I know you'll probably enjoy getting your feet up on Sunday if you don't celebrate. But thank you so much for joining us again, and we do hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Well, sin airson in noch, and a chiachgain be cluinnidh Celtic, Caitlin Hayes, colrúm sin stiùidio. Chun sin, Jen Keen Jockavell Shiv Lengthen BBC Alba Eccleston Calshiv programme sin B. Kishin Shiv and Ahuris.